करदवा फैन टाक ऑफ करदवा Good afternoon, welcome to VANIK-IAS. We'll discuss current affairs of 2nd May, and first is with reference to Prime Minister Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, PM Sonidhi. It's a scheme, right? PM Sonidhi scheme. Consider the following statements. One is it is a central sector scheme. Second, it facilitates working capital up to 10,000 at subsidized rate of interest. Third, it is available only for the beneficiaries belonging to northeastern states. Which of the following statements are right? See, if this is something, a particular scheme is launched by central government, obviously it is for most of the states of India, right? It is not related to only northeast. In general, in certain cases, if there is special for northeastern scheme, then there is some what will be mentioned in the scheme itself, right? Like Swanidhi for northeast, something like that. So this is cannot be only for northeast, and whenever you see only, then majority of the cases that statement is wrong. Then rest of the things are right. It is a central sector scheme that is fully supported by the central government. Then it is facilitated working capital up to 10,000 at subsidized rate of interest. If the person who is taking that loan, he pay in the due time or before the due date, this working capital can be increased to 20,000. Remember, and it is launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, it has launched Pradhan Mantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, PM Sonidhi. Right? This NBFC self-help groups, microfinance institutions, they can facilitate this scheme in urban areas. Remember. So the interest rate will be 7% per annum. The interest rate, there will be subsidy, annual subsidy of 7% per annum that will be credited to the bank account. So this is all about your Pradhan Mantri Sonidhi Yojana. This was right. This is not only for northeastern states; it's for all states of India, especially only for urban areas. Next question. With reference to small satellite launch vehicle or SSLV, we have first we have satellite launch vehicle as SLV, then we know ASLV, then came ASLV augmented satellite launch vehicle. These both two are already outdated. Now we have PSLV, GSLV, GSLV, and this SSLV that is recently launched, right? So this SSV, it is by yes, it will be launched in April. This will be uh, by by ISRO. This will be launched by ISRO to the low Earth orbit, LEO. It will be launched by ISRO to low Earth orbit, that is from 180 km to 2000 km, the limit of low Earth orbit. But it will be launched around 500 kilometers. Okay, the statements are: it is a three-stage launch vehicle configured with three propulsion stages, three solid propulsion stages. Yes, this statement is right. Three solid propulsion stages. It can carry satellites weighing maximum 500 kg in low orbit. Yes, it has flexibility accommodating multiple satellites. Yes, all the three options are right here. In case of PSLV, all the three are not solid propulsion. In case of PSLV, it is solid, liquid, solid, liquid. In case of GSLV, it is solid, liquid, and cryogenic. Remember, in case of GSLV, it is solid, liquid, and cryogenic. Right, low Earth orbit, its limit is 180 kilometer to 2000 kilometer. Then your middle Earth orbit, that is from 2000 to 35,790 kilometer. Then your geosynchronous orbit, that is from 35,790 kilometer to onwards, that is geosynchronous orbit. Especially communication satellites are seen in the geosynchronous orbit. So this is all about your small satellite launch vehicle. Right? It has solid propulsion for 3 stages. It is launched. It will be launched by ISRO in 2022. It will reach the low Earth orbit. Right. One more thing is that there is a new commercial arm of ISRO has been created, that is called as New Space India Limited (NSI). Remember, this is a PSU, New Space India Limited. This is the commercial arm of ISRO. Antrix Corporation is also a commercial arm. This is a new commercial arm, NSIL. This has been created. With reference to civil registration system in India. With reference to civil registration system in India, registration by births, deaths, and stillbirths is mandatory in India. Yes, it is mandatory. Obviously, if there is birth and stillbirth, everything is mandatory. You must, any citizen must do it. Activities of registration and implementation of the statute are vested with Registrar General of India solely. See, this word solely. This is why this statement is wrong. Whenever you see only or solely, such statements are wrong. Usually civil registration system, they are under Registrar General of India. He will take the registration. He will, he is empowered for registration of births and deaths under Registration of Births and Death Act, RBD Act 1969. Remember, Registration of Birth and Death Act, RBD Act 1969. According to Registrar General of India, he will uh, he will he will be responsible for registration and death and birth. But it is not solely, right. There is also chief registers of all states. There are also chief registers in all the states. So only Registrar General of India is not the only organization that will implement the statute. So option 2 is wrong. States are also participating. Civil registration system have been linked to National Population Register. A civil registration system is linked to National Population Register. Here all the options are correct. 1 and 3 options are correct. Consider the following statements. Collegium system is prescribed in the Constitution. Collegium system is prescribed in the Constitution. It consists of the Chief Justice of India and 2 senior-most judges. A National Judicial Appointment Commission Act 2014 was brought to replace the commission. See, which of the following statements are not correct? See, collegium system is not prescribed by the Constitution. It came in second judge's case, right? Second judge's case. That is in case in 1993, collegium system introduced. Remember, right? So, and in it consists of. It says that it consists of 2 senior-most judges, Chief Justice of India and 2 senior-most judges. No, it has the third judge's case. The third judge's case. It has expanded the collegium to 5-member body, that is CJI, and 4 CJI. Third judge's case, that is in 19 98, CJI, and 4 senior most judges of Supreme Court. Senior most judges of Supreme Court. So this statement is just it consists of no, it's not it four senior most judges. So this is also wrong. So one and two options are wrong. Remember collegium system. Collegium system means judges will appoint a judge. A collegium will be constituted by Chief Justice of India and four senior Indian most judges of Supreme Court. They will decide who the judge that will be appointed to the Supreme Court. To introduce this MJC Act has come 2014 to include a new committee. There will be a committee that will especially that will include the Prime Minister and Law Minister of the country in NJC. There will be the also Chief Justice of India, and there that so there is some executive there were some executive interference in this 2014, that is NJC Act. That's why this was declared null and void, and Supreme Court is now even going through collegium system. The problem with collegium system is that there is no accountability in the appointment system, right? So this is one and two option, both options are right. It is not prescribed in constitution. It came in second judge's case 1993, in third judge's case 1998. The CJI and four synonymous judges came. This collegium system started, and in total 5-member body it became in 1998. The next question. Consider the following statements with reference to Kaziranga National Park. Kaziranga National Park. It's the oldest park in Assam. Or it is, which of the following statements are not correct? Which of the following statements are not correct? It is the oldest park in Assam. See, it is a national park. Yes, it is a national park. That is national park that declared in 1974. Right. 1974 it declared the national park. So it is the oldest park in Assam. It is famous for great Indian one-horned rhinos. Yes, so these both statements are correct. It is recognized important bird area by IUCN. This is wrong. See, important bird area are especially recognized by BirdLife International. BirdLife International, they recognize important bird areas, not IUCN. So three option is the only option which is not correct. It is the oldest park of Assam, right? Declared national park in 1974. It is also a tiger reserve, right? It's also a tiger reserve, and it is declared as UNESCO World Heritage. It declared as UNESCO World Heritage in 1985. Right. Famous for wild hunt. There is also Pabitora Wildlife Sanctuary, which has highest density of rhinos. Pabitora Wildlife Sanctuary, which has highest density of one-hand rhinos, that is also present in Kaziranga National Park. Right. Okay. Asiatic water buffalo, Royal Bengal tiger, also seen in Kaziranga National Park. So three option is the only wrong, that is IUCN. IUCN especially it categorizes if a species is endangered or vulnerable or least concern or critically endangered, right? This is based on the number of species that present on the earth. Consider the privatization of airports in India. First began immediately after LPG reforms 1990. Privatization of airports. See, immediately. It can never become immediately, gradually. all the privatizations of airports that are done gradually, not immediately. Right? It's wrong. The revenue generated from airport privatization is shared between center and the respective states. See why airport will the revenue from airport Ministry of Civil Aviation is coming under the center. Only central government is taking steps. So there is no logic that that will be shared with the states. So D is the answer. Neither one nor two are the correct answer. Next, which of the following organization has been formulating a farmer distress index? NABARD will formulate it. A farmer distress index that will formed by NABARD, that is FDI. Farmer distress index will be started by NABARD. Then Hathis community. Hathis community has been recently seen in the news. Why they were in news? They were demanding for reservation. Right? They are not included in the list of scheduled tribes. They are demanded to be included in the list of scheduled tribes or SC. Right? They are primarily belongs to Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. Right? So your answer is A, that is the following step, that is Himachal Pradesh belongs to Himachal Pradesh. Next question. Consider the following statements with regard to South Asia Climate Outlook Forum. SSCOF, South Asia Climate Outlook Forum. Which of the following statements are correct? So, South Asian nations supported by World Meteorological Organization (WMO) have been conducting the SASCOF since 2010. Yes, this statement is right. SASCOF is a forum of climate experts from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar. See here, India. Here it is. Bhutan is given, and there is also Nepal is also there. Mm, to discuss southeast and northeast monsoon. See, annually to discuss southeast and northeast monsoon. No, this has become too particular. They will issue. They will discuss about the total regional forecast, right? Regional forecast that will not only limited to that will not be limited to. See, this is South Asia climate outlook now, so that is not only limited to the southeast and northwest monsoon, but they will release the forecast of southeast northwest monsoon. But that is not only another thing here. Maldives is also included. Remember, Maldives is also included here. So this statement is wrong, right? Maldives is included here. Bangladesh is also included here. Bangladesh, and they will issue regional forecasts, right, to discuss. This is not the only purpose, right? It's not the only purpose to discuss southeast and northeast monsoon. They will discuss the climate of South Asia. The Maldives and Bangladesh are also member of SACOF, that is South Asia Climate Outlook Forum. So one only is the right answer. So here the objective question discussion finished. Now we'll discuss prelims facts and mains topic. Just wait a second. Sasmita, good afternoon. Balmukita Jagannath. Yes. Okay, we'll proceed. India's crude import from OPEC. India's crude import from OPEC steadies after 6 years of slump. So why surge in the crude import? We'll see. OPEC share in crude import is has risen after a span of 6 years. Right, it has increased after a span of 6 years. The share of OPEC in India's export it increased. Okay, the source is primarily because of refiners importing more crude from OPEC to counter rise global prices and also easing down COVID lockdown. See what happened after See what happened after your COVID pandemic, the supply chain that get broken down. And as supply chain get broken down, that is why there is see what happened. Then because of lockdown, demand reduced, demand becomes suddenly stopped. And as demand stopped, so production also stopped. But after the COVID, when the lockdowns are lifted, then the demand suddenly risen, and but the production capacity which has reduced earlier that could not increase in that pace. That's why we saw a crisis in the high rise of prices, because production has not increased but demand increased just after the COVID, just after the COVID vaccination, and the supply couldn't cope up with the demand. That's why there is rise in price. And so, in the next few months, OPEC share of Indian overall imports would decline because refiners in India are buying cheaper Russian oil that has been sanctioned by the Western countries after Russian invasion on Ukraine. Yes, but presently it has increased in last 6 years. That is importing from OPEC, but it may it may reduce. Why? Because we are diversifying our energy requirements. Especially India is purchasing is buying Russian oil despite there is a there's sanctions by USA, but still India is going to purchase Russian oil. Russian oil continued to account less than 1% of total crude imports in 2022. It has increased to little less than 2% in the recent months on account of Russia offering crude at a discounted rate. Right? Because there is economic sanctions, many countries have stopped their relationship with Russia. That's why it is offering with discounted rate, and India is importing, and gradually this import will increase definitely to two digit. Right? The share of OPEC crude in imports improved while Latin America and Africa declined. Right? Latin America and Africa declined, but OPEC India's import has increased. First thing is there is economic growth. Second thing is that the production linked supply that has increased, right? Production linked supply system that has again getting cope up with the pre-pandemic era. The organization the organization of Petroleum Exporting Committee, OPEC is a permanent intergovernmental organization created in the at Baghdad Conference 1960. Remember this Baghdad Conference 1960. OPEC is created by Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela, especially the oil exporting countries. They have created this OPEC in 1960, that is in Baghdad Conference, and this is an permanent intergovernmental organization. The five founding members were later joined by Qatar, Indonesia, Libya, United Arab Emirates, Algeria, Nigeria, Angola, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, and Congo. Right? These are the five other members that joined. The OPEC. OPEC headquarters is at Vienna, Austria. Remember, earlier it was situated in Geneva, Switzerland, but has later moved to Vienna in 1965. So, headquarters of OPEC is Vienna. It is created at 1960 Baghdad Conference. It's an international organization. Right? Major are Iraq, Iran. It was established by Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. Qatar moved out of OPEC in 2019, Indonesia in 2016, and Ecuador 2020. Qatar, Indonesia, and Ecuador they came out of OPEC in 2019, 16, and 2020 respectively. What are the objectives of OPEC? To coordinate and unify petroleum prices among the member countries. Unify, right? Unify means all the country, if they will decide a particular rate, then everybody will sell at that rate, and there will not be there will not be competition in declaring the prices to increase the demand. So whoever buys from them, they will buy from at the same rate, right? So that's why they have to unify petroleum prices to secure fair and stable prices in the petroleum of our petroleum producers, to secure an efficient economic regular supply of petroleum to consuming nations, right? Next, to ensure fair return in the capital to those who are investing in the industry. So this is basically to sustain the petroleum industry regarding supply, regarding production, and regarding trade. And there must be coordination among the member countries, those who are the member of OPEC. Okay. How oil prices are determined in OPEC? OPEC is a cartel which behaves like a oligopoly and thus determine the level of output based on the profit maximization. Oligopoly means a group will monopolize the market, right? For example, particular group, for example, in case of car industry, there you can say there is oligopoly, right? There are few industries and they are ruling the market. For example, your Toyota, your Ford, your Mahindra. There are few markets, right? There are no multiple types of car, huge number of, there is no such diversity so far as car is concerned. That can be called as oligopoly. Few will run the huge market so far as production is concerned. That is oligopoly. So they decide how much output will be there, and based so that there will be a particular price for the oil, right? That is called as oligopoly. However, it has to factor various conditions to arrive at the production figure based on global demand and supply and uncertainties. There is also issues of global demand, supply, and uncertainties. Crude prices are not only depend on current supply and but also on the projected future supply and demand. Yes, supply and demand. This happened in COVID pandemic. The demand reduced suddenly, and because of that, supply also suddenly they have to cut down their production. Just a second. Next, OPC adjusts member countries production targets based on current and expectation future supply and demand. Yes, they are also analyze future supply and demand, and accordingly they produce the fuel. Then gauging future supply demand and challenging as a market condition uncertainty and changing rapidly. There is also significant lags in OPC production targets. Adjustment in response to market conditions also can impact prices. Sometimes there is huge demand, but there is lack of production. Sometimes there is lack of demand, but there is huge production. There is also mismatch between the supply and mismatch between supply and demand. That is also a problem of OPC. Despite the mandates of managing production, maintain targeted price levels, member countries do not always comply with the production target ascertained by the organization. So whatever the organization has decided, many times member countries they do not obey that. That's why there is we see higher price rise Many times we see high price rise of petroleum prices because the production is not up to accordingly up to what that is decided by the organization of OPEC. Price of crude are also affected by member countries' reluctance to maintain the production targets, right? That's also production target. Member countries they do not produce a particular amount. That's why that affects the price. Furthermore, unexpected outrageous disruption can reduce OP's production in the affecting the crude prices. So there are various factors, and that in Middle East region is highly unstable region. There are various factors, and because of any factor, if production got reduced by um, the fuel producing countries, that increases the price of the that affects the inflation of the whole world. How much India is dependent on OPC for oil import. India is now import around 70% of its crude from OPC members. On a decadal comparison, imports have been reduced drastically at 87% of India's total crude import to 70% 2020 and 2022. So this import has been reducing. Okay, this reduction is an account for India's expanding its import basket to rope the non-OPC members so that they have constant and stable supply of crude. Right? There should be constant and stable supply of crude. That's why India has diversified its sources. Because many times, if anything happens, that will hamper the domestic interest, that will create law and order issues in the India. That's why there is multiple sources of to supply the crude. United States is the largest OPC non-OPC importer to India. How crude import is from Russia can affect India's independence from OPC. United States is the largest non-OPC crude importer to India. At present, India's crude import from Russia accounts less than 2% of India's need and will lesser in its domestic production. India's crude import from Russia accounts less than 2% of India's need. This has to increase, which is lesser than its domestic production. In the short to medium, it is not favorable for India to import large chunk of its import needs Russia due to the sanctions, and secondly, rupee level payment arrangement has a limitation. That's why there is also short of supply, right? It is not favorable to India to import large from Russia, right? Because there is sanctions and there is not huge production. That's why India cannot import huge amount of from Russia oil. In the near future, Russian crude import can affect India's dependency on OPEC much in the long run, which India is investing in Russia's gas fields, ironing out payment arrangement issues. India's dependence on OPC can be drastically reduced, right? If we diversify our energy market, we'll develop with a relationship with Russia and increase their investment. Then the dependency on OPC will be drastically reduced. Also, we are moving towards the biofuel, right? We are depending on non-fossil fuel energy. So obviously, when the non-fossil fuel energy, India has promised net carbon emission to zero to make it zero by 2070. It's a gradually it has to achieve more and more sources of renewable energy at different sources, and that renewable energy production like biofuel that will hamper the production of oil by the CPC. It's a group of non-OPEC countries which export crude to other countries. The member nations are Azerbaijan, that is a non Kazakhstan, Oman, Sudan, Bahrain, Malaysia, Russia, Mexico, Brunei, and South Sudan. These are some countries which are supplying other countries. That's why there is a gap between demand and supply. Then Prime Minister Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, PM Sonidhi. Recently, Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs approved continuation of lending under PM Sonidhi beyond March 2022 till December 2024. So Pradhan Mantri Swanidhi scheme, this has increased. The extension of assist. This should assist institutionalizing the access of formal credit channels. That means a particular street vendors can also go to the a bank, then they can access to formal credit channels. That means from banking system, rather than by bringing from the from the rural money lenders, right? Who charge a huge amount of interest rate. Encouraging the adoption of digital correction, digital transaction, reducing the impact of potential NPH on the leading institution, providing holistic socio-economic upliftment for the street vendors and their families. Is the objective of Pradhan Mantri Swanidhi Yojana, that is providing subsidized loan to the Pradhan Mantri, the street vendor Nidhi or PM Nidhi. The scheme is centrally sector scheme. It is fully funded by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs to work to facilitate a working capital loan of 10,000 subsidized interest rate to interest incentivize regular payment of loan to reward digital transactions. It aims to focus on enhanced collateral fill affordable loan purpose. Collateral fills, that means you do not have to present some any such mortgage. That's why you can get a loan at very low from the banking system rather than purchasing it from the money lenders, right? Which is usually almost 3 to 4 times than that of the government bank interest rate. And the scheme will help formalize street vendors. Eligibility of state and UTs. The scheme is available for beneficiaries belongs to the states and UTs who have notified rules and schemes under street vendors, Protection of Liability Section and Regulation Street Vending Act 2014. So those who are liable under 2014, they will get the benefits of 10,000 per person, right? The ISRO organization is hoping, then satellites. Next is small satellite launch vehicle (SSLV). Indian Space Research Organization is hoping to have all the three development of flights planned for its baby rocket, that is small satellite launch vehicle, that will launch in 2022. Right, the fast development flight is expected to take place in the month of June. Right, background: Dr. Somnath is credited for designing and developing SSLV during his tenure as Director of Vikram Survey Center. Dr. Somnath, right? Small satellite launch vehicle will be launched this year. Next, remember it's a three-stage vehicle. The three-stage vehicle comes solid propulsion stage, right? In case of PSLV, there is solid, liquid, solid, liquid, liquid, solid, liquid, then solid, then liquid. But here it is the with the three propulsion stages are there, right? Based on trimming module BTM machine at terminal stage. All the three stages of SSLV can be sold solid propulsion of stages. The SSLV can carry satellites weighing maximum 500 kg low Earth orbit, and PSLV can launch satellites about 1000 kg. Right? SSLV it can launch up to 500 kg and PSLV 1000 kg. GSLV MK3 it can take 8000 kg. GSLV it can take 5000 kg to geosynchronous orbit, that is up to 36,590 km. This is low cost, will low turnaround time, flexibility according multiple satellites, launch of demand, feasibility, minimal infrastructure requirements. But the development of cost-effective launch vehicle with a high launch frequency and quick turnaround capacity to cater the growing opportunity of the global launch vehicles market of small satellites, right? So this is a potential India can develop. They can launch vehicles and they can return to the Earth. Which is the greater energy between space to create greater energy between space sector and private sector in Indian industries. There should be private sector. We should accumulate the private sector in every our activities to increase the propensity increase the efficiency. Low Earth orbit occurs LEO encompasses fast Earth centered orbit on an altitude of 2000 km or less than that, or I have said you 6000 to 11,000 km. They are called they are that is called as low Earth orbit, right? Medium of orbit is from 2000 to 10,000 km, then to 2000 to 5,790 km. That is called as your medium Earth orbit. Then your geosynchronous orbit, that is at 5,790 km. Okay, next question. Hepatitis B. Many countries, including US and UK, reported mysterious cases of few children being diagnosed by youth hepatitis B. Few children are getting diagnosis by hepatitis B. Netherlands also reported current increasing of abnormal adenovirus circulation. Now, what is hepatitis B? It is a potential life-threatening liver infection caused by hepatitis B virus (HBV). It is a major global growth health problem. The virus is most commonly transmitted from mother to the child during the birth. It is hepatitis B and delivery, as well as through contact with the blood and other body fluids through during sex with an infected partner, unsafe injections, exposures to sharp instruments. These may cause your hepatitis B, and that affects our liver. Next, global burden. It's the highest in WHO Western Pacific regions, WHO African region. There are 116 and 81 million people. They are chronically infected, right? The global burden of hepatitis B, around 116 million and 81 million of the people are chronically infected by hepatitis B. Then treatment. There is no specific treatment acute hepatitis B. Therefore, the care is aimed at maintaining compound and adequate nutritional balance, including replacement fluids lost from the vomiting and diarrhea. These are the treatment. There is no specific treatment, especially because it is a viral disease. You may see you may see various viral diseases which do not have any proper treatment. For example, COVID-19. They do not have any particular medicine. And WHO response in May 2016, World Health Organization Assembly adopted fast global healthcare strategy on viral hepatitis 2016. The WHO organization World Hepatitis Day, that is 1 and 9 for our annual health campaigns to increase awareness and understanding about hepatitis B, that is the viral disease which is very fatal, and mm, there is no specific treatment of hepatitis B. That's why everybody need to work out and all these things. And also the some treatments are also there, but that is not particular. For example, you have your COVID-19. For COVID-19, you have many medicines, many types of treatment, but nothing is sure of treatment. To some extent, they are getting relief until the immune system get developed or antibody is created. So there are various problems with respect to this because it's a virus, right? So we have a mission in the Dhanus. We have mission in the Dhanus. In the Dhanus, intensified mission in the Dhanus. IIM, intensified mission in the Dhanus. IMI. IMI 4.0 has launched to increase to give the vaccines to the childrens, right? So that they will not suffer the major diseases, right? So this is And your World Hepatitis Day, it is campus 1 to 9 flexible annual day program to to create awareness regarding World Hepatitis disease. So you must try to write this answer. Recently signed comprehensive strategic partnership between India and UK open new avenues. India and UK. UK has come out of Brexit recently, just for few years. As a history, there is a strong ties of culture and history. There is a strong partnership, right? Uh, then there is the recent of UK Foreign Secretary to come to India, participation in inauguration of India UK Strategic Future Forum. A track 1.5 dialogue that emphasizes bilateral relationship and upward trajectory. Right? Both relationship as developing. So that is both the relationship between India and UK are in developed manner before as compared to 10 years ago. Both have democracy. Right? Both countries have democracy. They have a shared history. They have been ruled India for 2 decades, almost 2 decades. And our parliament is taken has so much provisions from the from UK as well, right? For example, parliamentary supremacy. And British International Organization investment funding. UK has been compound 70 million euro of British international investment funding to support the uses of renewable energy in India. So there is international funding, there is free trade agreement, there is other area cooperation. So both government they should prioritize the trade talks to develop trade relationship, groundwork for eventual deal. They should start out with improving access to targeted support for Ukrainian business in India. So there is both the trade between the India and UK. It has been getting increased rapidly, and there is a huge potential for both the countries to leverage the existing converging areas. So here the lecture ends. And like this video, share this video, and subscribe to VANIK-IAS. Thank you. Tomorrow we'll also discuss objective questions that will be around 15 to 15, more than 15 questions. We'll discuss objective questions. Please be live at 12 at 2:30. Right. We're also discussing. I have also discussed science and technology MCQs that are in the playlist. You may go and see science and technology MCQs of this year and also previous year. If you are interested, you may see them. Thank you.